Jim.
Now, the county manager has the remaining items. Mr. Kennedy.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Mr. Chairman, first here, the consideration of engineering proposals for the Parker Meadows Recreational Park. What I have first is a resolution that was drafted by our county attorney exempting the engineering professional from Chapter 143, Section 64, subsection 31 of the North Carolina General Statutes. And what that is it allows units of local governments to exempt particular projects from this article, which is basically the amount less than $50,000 that we talked about. That is the new limit for design professionals when you're acquiring them for a project where that amount used to be unlimited. So all this is doing is basically acknowledging that we have received a proposal for engineering services under the amount of $50,000. If Mr. Attorney, am I correct?
That would be for phases 2 and 3 of the Parker Meadows project. And as the county manager has indicated, this is to exempt this particular project, phase 2 and 3, from the application of the statute reference, which would normally require that the matter be put out and advertised for proposals. But due to the small nature of it, the state legislature has recognized that for transactions for engineering services or architectural services, as the case may be, less than $50,000, the board may, within its discretion in writing, exempt that particular project from the requirement of putting it out for proposals. In this particular case, Mr. Rowland, our county manager, has in fact done some checking with not one but 2 engineers, and I think the prices came in fairly close.
Well, they did, and we, if you'll recall, we started out this process of this entire project with Mr. Michael Boyd, and in doing that, he had finished the work prior to February 18th, whenever we were just going to do what was required for the part of match of the
Phase 1.
Phase 1. That work was completed. He did have some remaining contract left. That contract has since been dissolved with him. And when we voted on February 18th to move forward with phases 2 and 3, the entire scope of the project changed. So in noticing that, I entertained some proposals from another engineer, a local engineer that we had had a history with and has had a history of working with Macon County, as well as Mr. LaVoy. Both of these engineering proposals that we had received included the site development plans, the permitting that would get us through the entire project, bidding both formal and informal for each segment of the entire project, as well as construction observation for 9 months. One came in at an amount not to exceed $49,500. That amount came in from Mr. LaVoy. However, it did indicate in that agreement that it was not going to cover travel costs, printing expenses, and things of that nature. Mr. Lackey came in at $49,750, and his proposal was, covered the same things that I just indicated Mr. LaVoy's did. And after conversation with each of these gentlemen and reviewing this proposal with Mr. Jack Morgan, the Director of Planning, Permitting, and Development, Mr. Matt Mason, Seth Adams, and other county staff that have been involved in this project from the ground up, I would ask tonight that following, if the board sees fit to sign this resolution exempting the engineering design from the provisions of this general statute, that the board would also authorize me to enter into an agreement on behalf of the county with Mr. Larry Lackey, engineering services for this project. We do have, the reason we don't have an agreement here to sign tonight is because in reviewing these agreements with Chester, there are some things that part of is going to require be included in these agreements that we need to get included in here. It's nothing that will affect the price of this proposal. It will just simply get us in line with laws of the state of North Carolina. And in doing that, I would just ask that the board authorize me to enter into that contract or that agreement on behalf of the county with Mr. Lackey upon us making those corrections as seen appropriate by legal counsel.
Okay. I think we need to do those separately. I think first you take up the waiver issue, and if you should adopt that resolution then, and in that event, you can consider approving the proposal of Mr. Lackey.
Now, does this put us finished with Mr. LaVoy?
Yes, sir.
Has he done everything that he fulfilled his previous?
Yes, there was $8,000 remaining in his contract. However, he was finished with his duties and indicated, that he would, as we move forward into this phases 2 and 3, agreed basically that this was an entirely different project. The whole scope was changing, so he acknowledged that we could terminate that contract, and we did so.
What I didn't see, Chester, was a timeline.
It's a 9-month. It's for a 9-month construction process.
No, I mean, you get stuff back to us in a timely fashion.
Yes, that will be, Mr. Lackey has included in here, it's on page,
I think it said April 15th.
it is a bid let date of April 15th, 2014 is proposed, so we're going to get.
I didn't know what that meant.
But that will.
I'm going to tell this board, I think that's ambitious.
Yeah, it's ambitious. We, for right now, but if you would like us to include as part and parcel of that agreement, a timeline in there. However, time is of the essence on getting this project started.
I think by the time you comply with the MBE and it's just very difficult.
We didn't ask the question, Mr. Manager, but I think it's important we have some type of reasonable timeline.
Yeah.
With the projects that we've asked for, to get a return back from the engineer, whoever did.
That was one thing, when going through this and behind my recommendation of Mr. Lackey. Another thing was he is local and he's got an office here in town, and if we'll be able to work.
We scheduled an appointment with Mr. Lackey tomorrow morning at 10 o'clock to address these items that Mr. Rowland has mentioned, and the issue that you raised can certainly be joined in that meeting.
Okay. And Eric, having researched this, I hear you say it is your recommendation that we approve the waiver and that we approve Mr. Lackey's contract.
Yes, sir.
Questions for our county manager?
On that not to exceed number there, I know it's both of them up at 50,000.
Yeah, there's not pretty close.
It's amazing, yeah.
Yes.
And they're not to exceed number, that's a steadfast number, because all of them had addendums in there for LaVoy was mileage, Mylar, a bunch of, as Terry can tell you, printing costs. Is that included, all of, because I won't be sitting here a year from now, we get another change order, which is the pattern that we've developed over the years. And when we say not to exceed, we leave that in there, we take it out.
If you will look in your agenda packet on page 3 of Mr. Lackey's proposal, and again, we are going to be meeting to discuss this tomorrow. Page 3 at the bottom, the owner's responsibilities, things like
Surveying.
submittal fees, if required for submitting our permits, legal and administrative fees if required, soils investigation and construction testing if required, cost for reproductibles, blueprints, copies, etc. Those
Need to be detailed.
are the owner's responsibilities under this contract and are not included in lump sum fees or estimates.
Did Lamar get the surveying done, that 2 foot? Because last time he had to have all that prior to any of his design.
Right.
And if he's sitting there waiting for some of this preliminary stuff, that's going to blow your April 15th.
I think that everything, what he's going to do after speaking with Black, he is going to send a certified letter to Mr. LaVoy that authorizes him to work off what's been done previously, and under the engineering law or whatever it might be, that is acceptable, and it's an acceptable engineering practice. So he's gonna have that and get him started right away. And
So we're not redoing?
No, we're not gonna be redoing anything that's already been done.
Correct.
And then all the soil work that he's gonna call for is additional.
He has,
I know Lavoy spelled his out with, but I didn't see that in Larry's, but it's gonna be the same cost either way.
yes, he does have, Mr. Lackey does have in his proposal on page 2, Roman numeral 3, construction phase and geotechnical engineering, and that's on-site observation, pay request, and shop drawings are included in that. So both of them, in one way or another, spelled out the geotechnical work required on that. And in speaking with each of them, it seems to be that we're going to just have to have some kind of geotechnical map or bonding agent for the road. And that's going to be where the majority of that work comes into play.
Good job.
Any other questions? Clarification?
Is this engineering, is it, remind me, Mr. Attorney, is this reimbursable? This is not reimbursable through the part of grants.
You're correct.
One more thing I'd like to add, if you'll look on page 4, Roman numeral 3 here, a budget for engineer of record for 9 months is proposed for a total cost not to exceed $17,550, including soils proctor and compaction testing as may be required.
Okay.
So while he spells it out there, and this was a back and forth discussion, it's kind of like buying a car. Just a little back and forth negotiation, and so this is what we arrived at.
So that'll come out of the contingency line item. And then
Come out of the meeting, we've already approved the project for.
we put it.
Yeah, we come out
we
of
did
the
that.
project.
We've approved $500,000 for the remainder of this year on that project, and it'll come out of those funds.
But it was contingency line item because we didn't have the engineering. No.
Right, of the specific project, yes, sir, it will be coming out of the contingency line item of that project. And we were, I think, expecting $200,000 in that line item, so we've already got a good start on this.
But we knew those fees weren't included.
Yeah, that's why we put the contingency.
Right, yeah, so we put 200,000, now we're starting out good here. We've come out of the gate strong.
Okay.
Motion to approve the waiver, the contract is submitted by,
I think he wanted those in separate motions.
motion to approve the waiver, Mr. Chairman.
Do we have a second? We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Passes unanimously. Now motion to approve the contract with Mr. Lackey will be in order.
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Subject to,
Subject to the changes or discussion that's going to happen at 8:00 in the morning, and we're going to get to find the timeline and other items.
And
Recommend-
and to authorize Derek to act on behalf
Of the county. Yes, sir.
Do we have a
That's all in
second?
that motion.
Do we have a second to that motion?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Thank you, Mr. Manager, for an excellent job on that. We appreciate it very much. Any other items, Derek?
Yes, just with the consideration of the architectural proposals for Parker Meadows Recreational Park, kind of the same thing. Again, the resolution exempting the design professional from the general statutes under same chapter, section. We have that resolution here, as well as included in your agenda packet. We have the basic services and scope of work submitted to the county by Mr. Tom Ritter. What we have currently is a concessions facility, a scores booth, scores support facilities, as well as a picnic shelter with ADA compliant restrooms and storage on site. This totals $16,000. It was brought to our attention that this did not include dugouts. So we're currently, just like we're having a meeting with Mr. Lackey in the morning at 10 a.m., We're also going to meet Mr. Ritter there. Dugouts will be included in this proposal following that meeting, as well as including the same stipulations into these agreements that bring it into compliance with North Carolina law. Following that meeting, we expect to be able to move forward.
The only difference that we have is I do anticipate that there'll be some additional expense for doing the work on the dugout. In addition, there is one other piece of work that will have to be added to the proposal, and that's for a pad to construct a prefab maintenance shed on. It'll be apparently a concrete pad that will have to be designed and put out as well. But the number originally was how much?
$16,000.
I would propose that this board authorize your county manager to negotiate within a range on that. I feel certain that this project can, in its entirety, be done for less than $25,000, and I would encourage you to authorize him up to that level to do that.
Should that go on the record? Gives Tom a buffer.
Well, I think we'll be meeting with him tomorrow as well, and we'll simply ask him what will be entailed, what kind of time would be involved.
I can't imagine you charge $9,000 more.
I can't.
That would know Tom.
I know him real well, I trust his $1,000,001 bid. Motion to approve.
Are you saying approve the waiver?
We have to approve the waiver first.
Approve the waiver first. Okay. Motion to a second.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Hayden. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That motion passes unanimously. Now a motion to approve the contract not to exceed $25,000 to be negotiated by our county.
And subject to approval by county attorney and those additional terms.
Okay. We have that motion. Second. Motion and second. Motion by Commissioner Tate, second by Hayden. Any discussion?
It's nice to see that he puts $1.25 per sheet in his actual statement.
Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That motion passes unanimously. All right. Thank you guys for your patience, Dr. Thomas. We had next little business.